Alright guys, James at RampantLionReviews again for you today. For this one, we are going to do another out and about video for you. So today I'm in Chojnice, which is a little bit to the southwest of Gdansk, where I've been filming for you already. And we're going to check out this place behind me, Browar Gościniec, which I have pronounced right this time, thankfully. But yeah, I've also got a special guest today, who goes by the name Hugh Kelly of the Beer Kid on Instagram.
Yeah, Hugh the Beer Kid on Instagram.
Yeah. So Hugh is actually out here teaching English at the moment, and we're gonna go in, do as we always do, have a wee walk around, do some beer tastings. Hugh's gonna join in with some of that as well.
Certainly am.
And yeah, enjoy this one, guys. I need to let you look at this place. This is pretty cool. Catch you guys in just a second. So yeah guys, this is what the outside of the building looks like. As you can see, the weather is absolutely horrible, but we actually had to film the intro a little bit later into filming because just the weather was that bad. But you can see we're kind of in the middle of the countryside with this place. There's another restaurant over there. But yeah, you can see Hugh waiting over here. Hello Hugh! There we go. So guys, we'll go in and I'll let you have a little walk around there. But yeah, this was filmed a little bit later than we did before. Look at this big sexy man here. Yes. So yeah guys, when you come in, you'll see this Browar Gościniec right up here. We'll take a little look at what's at the side here in a little minute, but when you walk in, this place is absolutely lovely. Very old school Polish, but still modern at the same time. So you can see, yeah, these girls are having fun. But yeah, when you look around, this is very, very cool, I have to say, like properly old school, but in a modern kind of sense. So yeah, you can see they've got the old fire over there. They've also got a stage. They host concerts and things here, which are very cool. And again, you can see Browar Gościniec. And then you can see Hugh is chatting up the local women as well. So yeah, we've got our next beer to have a look at here. So yeah, this is actually, at this point in time, it's going to be review number 3, but you'll see this one a little bit later on. Alright guys, well, having successfully traversed our way through the rain, it's time to try our first beer then here at Browar Gościniec. Hopefully pronouncing that correctly, I think we are. But yeah, the first beer that we're going to have a look at today is a style that I don't review all that often on the channel, but one that I do quite enjoy actually. This in Polish is the Chojnice. Again, probably pronouncing that horribly, but essentially, Chojnice is the Polish word for wheat. So we're having a little look at their sort of Hefeweizen wheat beer first. So yeah, when this beer poured, it came out with about a half finger of a frothy, I would say kind of perfect white, kind of cream coloured head. You can see that that's just faded away to be a sort of thin, foamy layer. Now there's a bit of a ring around the edge of the glass. But yeah, you can see this beer is pretty much the colour you would expect of a Hefeweizen or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, definitely nowhere near as hazy as you can see from this style at some points, but it does look quite nice. I mean, lovely kind of pale golden straw colour this. Remember, the colour of your beer depends on the type of malts you use. For the most part, the length of your wort boil is also going to play a role. Any adjuncts and things that you put in there as well will also play a role. But you can see on the glass this one, there is the Browar Gościniec symbol, which I think is quite nice. But yeah, you can see this beer does have a little bit of natural haze to it, but nowhere near as hazy as other Hefeweizens we've seen before. But yeah, let's have a wee look at the nose of this one and see what this is all about. Oh yeah, straight away, straight up. Very clean, very light Hefeweizen, this one. Gives you everything you'd expect, and that's what I've found when I visited these brew pubs in Poland so far, is that a lot of them, they just give you really nice, drinkable, easygoing beer that give you they give you the flavour profile you expect of the style. You can't complain about these, definitely. But yeah, aroma-wise, this is really nice, but definitely one of the kind of cleaner Hefeweizens I think I've come across. So the backbone of the beer, you've got a lovely little bit of a kind of fresh white ready bread crust, some soft some soft white bread in there. You've got a little bit of the kind of banana, bubblegummy sort of thing that you would expect of the Hefeweizen, a little bit of that kind of candy sort of note to it, a little bit of clovey spice, and you can just smell the density of the wheat in there. But the wheat at the back of the nose gives you a little touch of a spicy character for me. But overall, yeah, a little bit of bread crust, maybe a little touch of Jacob's cream cracker, lots of fluffy white bread, the banana, the bubblegum, all of these kind of things. On the malty side, this beer comes together really quite nicely. On the hoppy side of things, it's as you would expect. I mean, it actually smells quite German in its hoppy character. As I've said to you before, you know, Czech hops are quite spicy in their green components, whereas the German ones are a little bit lighter. And of course, there are many varieties of Polish hops as well, so it wouldn't surprise me if this beer did contain like Lubielski or something like that. But yeah, lovely kind of bright, grassy note to this one. Slightly zesty, little touch of floral character in there, and you have just got that little bit of smooth earthiness too. But typical kind of noble type qualities coming out of this one. It's very nice smelling Hefeweizen, I have to say. Yeah. On the fruity side of things, like we said, you get a little bit of banana out of this one from the yeast, but you've also got little touches of apricot in there, a little bit of an oily sultana, you know, dry white green grapes, maybe a little touch of pear as well, a little bit of an oily pear, and maybe just a wee tiny hint of a kind of fresh green apple. But for me, mainly, yeah, the banana from the yeast, the sort of apricot-y notes, and then you've also got a little bit of the just the pear and sultana as well, but a very nice smelling Hefeweizen, I have to say. Today we're drinking 0.3s because there are 6 beers that we're going to try, so I think trying a half litre of each would be a bit too adventurous, to be honest. But yeah, let's have a wee look at this one then. So this one is the Chojnice, a Hefeweizen at, yeah, I've never asked the percentage actually. I'm guessing it'll be around 4.5%. We'll check for the next one though. Let's get stuck in. Slange, skål, nästa review. Yeah, kind of as I expected, to be honest with you. A very clean, easy drinking wheat beer, this one. I don't know if it's right to call it a Hefeweizen, because, you know, what Hefeweizen actually means is like yeasty wheat, Hefe, yeasty Weizen wheat. This one, it definitely has the kind of Weizen to it, the Chojnice, but it's a lot cleaner, as I say. But in fairness, you do get what is called Kristall Weizen as well, which is the filtered one. So it maybe is just one of these, but it's really nice, clean and drinkable. Like I say, I don't get to drink wheat beer all that often, but I always liked them back in the day. The Weihenstephaner was always a firm favourite. But yeah, this is nice, so thumbs up to Browar Gościniec for this one. This is a nice beer. So, as I say, this gives you everything you want from the Hefeweizen style. I probably should say Chojnice, since we're in Poland, but I can't pronounce that word very well. But yeah, the backbone of this beer, middle third of your palate, lovely little bit of white bread crusty character in there. Soft white bread above it, of course. Toward the front of that middle third of your palate, there's a little touch of a kind of woody character in there. You do get a little bit of an almost crackery note out of this one, but the further into the aftertaste you go, you get more and more of that lovely kind of big bready character out of the beer. So yeah. And yeah, within the bready side of the beer, you're getting all these nice kind of yeasty flavours. So toward the back of that middle third of your palate, that's where you start getting some of the clovey spice, but in the dead centre of your palate, there's a little bit more kind of, you know, that bubblegummy sweetness and so on. So yeah, the way that goes together is really quite nice in this one. It has got that little bit of bubblegummy sweetness. There's maybe just a little slight touch of like a Werther's Original butter candy butterscotch in there as well. And as I say, clovey spice toward the back of the middle third of the palate. The back third of the palate is pretty much the same. You've got the bread crust, you've got the fluffy white bread in there, you've got a little bit more clovey spice as well, and some of the more kind of yeasty characters coming out of this one. Those layers are all similar, but just a little bit taller. Definitely, flavour is taller in the back third of the palate, and it condenses down as you kind of come forward, which is quite nice. I think that covers the yeasty and malty side of the beer. Let's go to the hoppy side of things. Back corners of the palate, you've got that smooth kind of, that little bit of smooth earthiness in there, and it gets a little bit more herbal as you come further forward, and then you've got a wee bit of floral aromaticity on the front kind of corners of your palate too. And yeah, round the front curve of your palate, it's a little bit lighter and more grassy for sure. But the green component in this beer for me is quite wet and quite smooth. The other thing to remember is that the Hefeweizen is of course not the most hopped style of beer. You know, these beers are usually 15%, usually 15 IBUs, and the malt base quite often is about 40% wheat and about 60% barley. That's a usual thing. This one, of course, has been filtered as well, so it will feel that little bit cleaner. You can kind of tell that just from looking at it, just a little touch of natural haze to it. But the green component in this beer is very clean and nice and wet. But let's look at the front third of the palate and the fruity side of things to round off. So yeah, front third of your palate with this beer, the smooth white bready character underneath. At the back of the palate, at the back of that front third of your palate, you get a little bit of a slightly stronger citrusy note out of this one, like a little bit of a kind of lemony thing. You've of course got a little bit of the banana coming forward too, but then you start to get that nice kind of sultana type note. There's a little bit of apricot in there as you move further forward on that front third of your palate, but there's a wee touch of a more oily, peary character to this one, and maybe just a little bit of a kind of like fresh green apple as you reach the very front tip of your tongue. So yeah, like I say, overall the flavour for me is a very clean Hefeweizen, this one. This is a Kristall Weizen for me, a filtered Hefeweizen. But like I say, it gives you everything you would want from this style. I always used to find Weizens, generally speaking, quite heavy to drink, but since the New England IPAs have come along, I find these beers very easy going now, which is quite a change. You know, you have to remember your palate is always developing. So yeah, this has been a nice place to start. Mouthfeel wise, I would say this one is kind of top end of light bodied, bottom end of mid bodied. The carbonation is nice and smooth. You've got a lovely little bit of kind of wet. You've got a good little bit of wetness to the mouthfeel in this one. IBU wise, like I say, I think it's a standard 15 for the style. Smooth malt base, little touch of sweetness in there, little touch of spice dryness, and you've got that little bit of fruity character as well. But yeah, really nicely done Hefeweizen in this one. Very nice and easy to drink. But I shouldn't, as I say, I shouldn't say Hefeweizen, I should say Chojnice. But I can't pronounce that word because it's Polish. So yeah, anyway, let's leave it at that for this one. That's the end of our first tasting. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. Got another beer coming up very soon. Catch you guys in just a second. Alright guys, so just a little look at the 6 taps that they have on then here. So normally this one would be the Martsova, but they are just about to change that beer from what I understand. But just a little quick look at these taps. So yeah, the first one on the right here is the Lager, 6% ABV. That's the strongest beer they have on tap for the moment. Then you have the Pilsner at 4.9% ABV. Then obviously this was the Martsova. But then we go over to this one. It is the Chojnice, which is the wheat beer. Then you have the October Dunkel at 4.9%, and then you've got the American Pale Ale at 5.2%. So yeah, this is quite nice. You've got 6 taps here, and the ones that we've seen so far have been pretty good. Still a few more to check out though. Alright guys, well, tasting number 2 then, and you is going to join us for this one. So, yoo-hoo! Yoo-hoo! Do you want to introduce the beer?
So this is, again, another one of the breweries in Chojnice. This is their Masowe, which is a honey beer. Nice and clear.
Yeah. Kind of nice, slightly richer amber colour compared to the Weizen that I tried a wee minute ago.
Definitely.
But yeah. When it poured as well, it came out, I think this was a kind of slightly cream coloured head too, about a half finger, but this was a bottle, she said.
Yes, yeah. Yes, this is a bottle because they've run out of the draft. But they've got some bottle left over, and they very kindly found one for us.
Yeah, very nice. Exactly. So yeah, this was the idea. As I say, I wanted to try all 6 beers in here. When there's 6 on tap, it is just kind of like challenge accepted. So yeah. So as I say, Martsova, this one, you know, as we said, nice kind of lighter amber colour, good stream of carbonation on this, probably because of the bottle conditioning.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll take a wee look at the nose.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Sorry, I jumped in before you.
No, that's fine. Oh yeah.
Ready, isn't it?
Yeah, no, I mean, this one's got a little bit more of an almost. The bread that you get out of this reminds me of, you know, that, I forget what the Polish name for it is, the bread that they put the soup inside. That type of bread. It really reminds me of that.
Chleb.
Chleb, yeah.
Or bulka.
Yeah, it really reminds me of the bready notes you get out of this. Really remind me of that. But yeah, for me, bread crust in the base, then like a sort of more wholemealy, brown bready character.
Almost a bit of a rye bread kind of smell.
Definitely, yeah.
A bit spicy, isn't it? Yeah.
But yeah, then on top of that, it's quite a straight shooting beer. This one, it's not madly complex, but it's just nice, isn't it?
No.
Yeah. It's, to say, a bit of bread crust, maybe a little touch of a woodiness to it as well.
Yeah, just a slight hint.
Yeah, maybe a wee bit of like cracker or something too, but then that sweet, slightly rye bready character, yeah.
Definitely malt heavy, isn't it?
But then yeah, above that you get the kind of oily honey, you get the like little bit of biscuity note
A
as
little
well.
bit of sweetness, isn't it?
Yeah, it's quite, to me that's quite a bright aromatic honey. I mean, some of them you get, they're really oily and
No, it's
things,
not too thick and caramel, is it? It's a proper like aromatic.
yeah, quite. Yeah, the honey for me has got a little bit of floral character to it, and it's got a wee bit of a kind of. It's almost like a honeycomb type thing.
I'll go with that. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's quite interesting. I mean, obviously in Scotland we have heather honey, which has a little bit more spice and things to it. You've got a few different types of honey in Yorkshire as well, don't you?
Yeah, lavender honey. Lavender honey is a big thing in Yorkshire.
Yeah. That is nice though. I mean, yeah, as I say, there's not even really a little bit of caramel to this. You've got a bit of McVitie's digestive biscuit. You've got the honey in there, which is kind of aromatic, as we've said. And then, yeah, you maybe get like a teeny little bit of a slight nutty and woody character out of this one, the more that you smell of it. I don't think there's much more to say about the malty side of this one, is there?
No.
Yeah.
Nice and straightforward.
I think we'll get a bit more complexity out of this when we actually taste it, though. I do suspect that. Hoppy side of things, for me it's kind of typical and noble again.
Yeah.
Smooth earthiness, a little bit herbal, but a brighter grassy note. There is a little touch of floral character there, but for me it's mainly a kind of brighter.
Quite subtle, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely has a green component to it. Definitely. Fruitiness, what do you think? I think this is
Yeah, maybe like a dried fruit, maybe.
yeah, like a little bit of an oily, like a sultana, peary type thing. You'd kind of expect that of like a sort of gold. I don't know if this is most likely to be a lager, I would think, or it could be an ale. You never know.
Most of probably a lager yeast.
Probably a lager yeast, yeah. So low temperature fermentation, yeah. Because it does smell quite light, but a bit more oily, as you say, because of the honey character. But yeah, I mean, for me, yeah, fruits like a bit of sultana, a little bit of pear, maybe not even gooseberry or something like that. But there's something a bit more oily in there.
There's something to it, isn't there?
Yeah, but yeah, pears and sultanas definitely. Otherwise, it's a little bit difficult to say, actually. So yeah, I think they're quite happy about that description of the aroma, to be honest. Yeah,
We'll go with that, shall we?
so yeah, we'll do that. So yeah, this was Hugh's choice. Let's get stuck in.
Nostrovia.
Nostrovia. Let's do this. Ooh. That's got a lot more kind of grainy character to it than the aroma would have you believe.
Definitely.
Wee bit
More
more
floral
dryness.
notes as well.
Yeah, definitely. This is one of these beers that it's actually more complex in the flavour than it is in the aroma. It can go either way, you know, you can have it the other way around as well. But this is nice. Again, this is just a nice, easygoing, slightly sweeter, more sessionable beer. I mean, if you're a fan of probably the Czech Letsak, the slightly more amber lager, you'll enjoy this one. This is good. Yeah.
Like a brown lager. An amber lager.
Yeah. But that is good. I like that. So yeah, what are the flavours that jump out of this one for you?
Definitely still that nice sort of aromatic honeysuckle, I'd say. A little bit of rose maybe.
Do you find in this one like quite floral and things?
Yeah, definitely on the floral side, I'd say. Next to no citrus, really. Yeah. I sometimes find honey beers to be quite, quite flat in their flavour profile, but this has got a bit more depth to it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, this is for me the backbone of this beer. It's that bread crust again, the brown bread crust, the sweet sort of rye bready character is definitely there. You have got a little toward the front of that middle third of the palate, a little bit of woodiness for me, especially the further into the aftertaste you go. I don't really get the crackery note that I was picking up in this one.
No,
the aroma.
no.
It's bread. It's sort of sweet, kind of wholemeal rye bread all the way. you've maybe got a little bit of a very slightly toasty brown sugar to this one. Very slightly.
Do you get much floral?
A little bit on the hoppy side, but not really on the malty side. The honey for me, I still like above the kind of brown bread. You get the honey, and it's a bit more oily in the middle of the palate and a bit more biscuity further out toward the edges. But you do get that little bit of aromaticity out of it the further into the taste that you go. Yeah. So it's nice.
Nicely dry on the finish as well, isn't it?
Oh yeah. I think for me that's everything about the middle third of the palate. Back third of the palate, I think it's got an even more grainy character to it. For me, the back third of the palate's always a little bit drier and more grainy. So yeah, like back third of the palate for me, drier bread crust, like a slightly more tall and airy brown bready character to it. And above that, you do get a bit more yeastiness. It's got like a little bit of a more farmhousey, woody kind of bread at the top. I think a little bit of honeycomb. I always get honeycomb in the back of the palate for some reason. I always get that from the kind of yeasty notes out of the beer. But yeah, I think back third of the palate, flavour again taller, and then it condenses down as you come into the middle third of the palate. Hoppy side of things, what do you reckon? Edges of the palate.
Yeah, it's that noble hop character, isn't it? Grassy.
See, it's interesting for me because one thing I should say, Hugh for his first beer drank the Dunkel, which you'll see me do a tasting of a little bit later on. You can maybe join in with that one if you like that.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
But yeah, for me this beer, I actually find you were saying you didn't get so much floral character out of it. So I wonder if this is maybe just because you've had the dark beer first.
Possibly,
yeah. Because I mean, I get a wee bit of the earthiness, a little bit of the herbal character. It's got a little bit of a floral thing to it as well, and then you start to get a bit of grassiness around the front curve of the palate as well. So yeah, for me the way that goes together is quite nice. The green component, straightforward, smooth, a bit more oily. Yeah.
It's a shame they're discontinuing it, to be honest. I think it's a nice one.
Is it a seasonal or is it just like a one-off? Do you know?
No. I think it's a core range, but they've stopped brewing it for keg now.
Ah, right, okay.
They've only got the bottles left. So.
Fair enough. It's a bit of a shame, but still nice. But yeah, front third of the palate, fruits, I guess. Yeah. Yeah. What do you think?
Rather nice.
Yeah. I mean, for me, you get a bit of the bready on the front third of the palate. It's got a little bit of the bready, some bread crust in there, and on top of that, you've got a little bit of an oily pear.
I'm with you with the pear. Yeah. Definitely the pear.
Yeah. So it's got a little bit of sultana for me, dry white green grapes, bit of pear, maybe a tiny little bit of something a bit more citrusy as you reach the front tip of the tongue, but otherwise, it goes together quite nicely in that sense. I think that's everything about the flavour. Mouthfeel wise, for me, bottom end of mid-bodied, top end of light-bodied. Around there.
Medium-bodied.
Smooth carbonation, a bit more oily.
Yeah. I don't know if that's because it's been lying around for a bit, but it's definitely got a nice light carbonation to it.
Hot IBU wise, I think this is like maybe 20 or something at the most.
Yeah, very moderate.
Very moderate, yeah. Malt base, as we said, a little bit of greeniness, bit of breadiness, quite a bit of sweetness on top. Then you've got the oily, fruity character. I think Hugh made a nice choice with this one. This was quite nice to kind of smoothen the palate out after the Hefeweizen, I would say, or the Chojnice, as it would be in Polish. So this was the Marsowe, if I pronounce it. Marsowe, the honey beer here at Browar Gościniec. If I pronounced that, Gościniec.
I can't say it, and I've lived in Poland for 2 years. So
I can't say this either. So again, those of you watching, nice beer. We just can't say the name of the brewery. But that's it. But yeah, guys, that's the end of tasting number 2. Thank you to you for joining for this one. We'll do another. We've still got a few tastings to go, so we'll see what ones Hugh wants to join in with. Catch you guys in a second. Cheers. So yeah, guys, this is kind of quite cool. The brew kit is right in the entrance hall of the brewery here, so you can see this looks as if it's about 1,000 litres or so. So kind of cool in that sense. Just a very, very small scale operation. You can see kind of automated here. I can't see the manufacturer's name on the brew kit actually, but yeah, you can see they've also got a little distillery over there, which is nice, and you've got some of the fermentation tanks around here too. These look as if they're maybe about, what's that, about 1,000 litres, something like that, maybe 1,500 at most. Yeah, you can also see a few other tanks here, so they've got about 4 fermentation tanks. Maybe got a smaller one there as well, I can't really see so well, but yeah, quite cool that the brewery is just in the kind of entrance hall there, but there you can see Fermentovnia, the fermentation area, so that is quite nice. Very, very small scale operation this, but still pretty damn cool. So that's a little quick look at the brew kit that they have here. Very cool. Alright guys, well, time for tasting number 3 then. So for beer number 3, I decided to go for the Pilsner, which comes in at 4.9% ABV. I've been getting really into my lagers again recently. Just have a nice pils is always a good thing. So when this beer poured, it had a nice finger of a frothy, I would say slightly cream coloured head rather than being perfect white, and you can see some of that is still there on the top of the glass, so that is quite nice. You can see nice kind of medium sized bubbles on this one. It does look very, very good, I have to say. But yeah, lovely kind of pale golden straw colour as you would expect. There's a little tint of natural haze to this one, and a good flow of carbonation, which I believe you can see through the camera there. But like we said, a 4.9% Pilsner, nothing out of the ordinary when it comes to the appearance of this beer. So let's have a look at this one, and I'm curious to see whether this is going to be a more kind of dry and crisp German Pilsner, or whether it'll be a little bit more along the lines of a kind of more yeasty and bready Czech Pilsen. So let's do this. Aroma time. Oh yeah, this one for me smells quite clean and crisp. This smells a little bit more like a German Pilsner, I would say. But again, you can see this beer, it's, by the looks of it, it's probably been filtered. So maybe it will be a little bit more along the lines of the German Pilsner than the Czech Pilsen. So yeah, let's have a wee look at this properly. But yeah, backbone of this beer, you've got a lovely little bit of kind of fresh white bready bread crust. You always get that. But then above that, you have a little bit of a more kind of, there's a little touch of a kind of crackery note to this one for me. Little very slight hint of woody character as well, but that's very, very minimal for me. Yeah, bread crust and cracker. But then above that, there's a little kind of crisp layer of a kind of wholemeal brown bread, but then you get the fluffy white bready notes out of this one. At the back of the nose though, you can get that little bit of more kind of dry, crisp Pilsner malt out of the beer. So yeah, definitely a little bit of that kind of dry, crisp character in the top of the nose. But still really, really nice in that sense. Yeah, the Pilsner malt in this is quite interesting, because for me it's slightly drier. It's a little bit of a drier Pilsner malt, but in the middle of the nose you also get a little touch of a kind of sweet biscuity character. It's almost like the kind of oil that holds a McVitie's digestive biscuit together, so I really do like that side of this beer as well. Yeah, you get a little bit of biscuity sweetness out of this one. As I say, behind that you've got the slight dryness of the Pilsner malt and the soft white bread underneath. I don't know if there's really anything else we need to say about the malty character in this one. Once again though, the hoppy character is quite nice. It's got a little bit of smoothness to it, but it's also got a little bit of that brighter character. For me, again, that's another thing that points more toward the German Pilsner rather than the Czech Pilsen. So yeah, for me, a little bit of earthiness, a little bit of smooth herbal quality as well, and you've also got that nice floral aromatic kind of vibe coming out of the beer as well. Yeah, you do get a little bit more floral spicy character out of this one the more that you smell it, and it has got a little touch of zestiness on the grassy side of the beer too. So again, I really like how this beer goes together in that regard. Yeah, hoppy character in this one is very, very nice actually. Yeah, lovely green component. The fruity side of the beer is kind of as you'd expect. You've got a little touch of a kind of, we've said this quite a few times in this video, most of the beers they have here are actually quite light ones. So yeah, you've got a little bit of sultana in there, there's a teeny bit of apricot, really not so much. I get more of a kind of fresh green apple out of this beer though, particularly in the top of the nose at the front. So yeah, the way that goes together in this one is really, really nice. But to me, this smells like quite a clean, crisp German type Pilsner rather than the Czech Pilsen. So yeah, I think it's about time we have a taste of this one then. So yeah, this one is the Gościniec Pilsner, 4.9% ABV. Let's get stuck in. Slange, skål, cheers, na zdrowie. Oh yeah, that's really nice actually. It's one of these beers. It is quite clean, but it's at the same time it's quite an oily Pilsner. So yeah, this beer for me, quite an oily Pilsner, but it really does lean more toward the German side of the style, I would say. But I do like this. It gets a thumbs up for me. As I say, I love coming to these little places and just trying beers that you're not going to get anywhere else. This is good. So, backbone of the beer then, a little bit of a kind of fresh white bready bread crust, as we always say. There's a good little bit toward the front of that middle third of your palate. There's a little touch of woodiness in there and a little bit of an almost crackery type quality. So yeah, a little bit of bread crust, a little bit of cracker. Almost a little, to be honest actually, the cracker maybe goes right on top of the bread crust. There's a little touch of woodiness in there, but you've got some fluffy white bread as well above that. So yeah, lovely little bit of fluffy white bread in there, but then you start to get some of the really nice kind of smooth bready character out of this one as well. So yeah, lovely fluffy white bread in there, and you've also got that kind of you do also have just a little bit of brown bread as well. So above the kind of crackery there, a little touch of brown bread, a little bit of white bread. At the back of that at the back of that middle third of your palate, you've got a little bit of the drier kind of Pilsner malty character out of this one. But further forward, you start to get some of the sweetness out of the beer as well. So in the centre of your palate, you've got a little touch of you do get a little touch of caramel in the dead centre of your palate, but as you move out toward the edges of the palate, there's a little bit more of a kind of McVitie's digestive biscuity sort of character to it. So yeah, the way that goes together is quite nice. I think that covers the middle third of the palate in this one. Back third of the palate though, you've got a little bit of a more kind of bread crusty, you do have a little bit more of a kind of bread crusty graininess to the beer, a little bit drier cracker, then yeah, a little bit of brown bread, a little bit of white bread, then the dryness of the Pilsner malt sitting on top of that. Above everything else, you start to get some of the more farmhousey, yeasty character that I've been talking about as well. So yeah, the way that goes together in this one is really quite nice. I think that covers the malty and yeasty side of this beer. Let's look at the hoppy side of things. So yeah, hoppy side of things is kind of as I would expect. And one thing I will say about the malty side of this beer, it does get a bit drier the further into the aftertaste you go. But on the hoppy side of things, back corners of the palate, definitely a little bit of earthiness there. And as you move further forward along the sides of the palate here, you get more and more kind of floral aromaticity out of this beer. So yeah, you've got a nice kind of deeper floral aromatic note out of this one. Lovely little bit of kind of brightness in there too, but round the front curve of the palate it's a little bit lighter and more grassy. You've got quite an oily character to the green component of this beer overall. But front third of the palate then, and the fruity side of things, again you've got a little bit of a kind of crackery and bread crusty base there, and above that you get that nice oily bubble where the juicy fruity esters just roll their way out of the beer. And yeah, for me, the fruity side of the beer is really nice in that sense. So yeah, well I think our food's just come. Sick. Oh, we've got our food. We've got some nice goulash to see.
Enjoy.
Thank you. So yeah, we've got some goulash to show you in just a second. But yeah, as I was saying, the fruity side for me A little bit sultana, a little bit kind of oily peary, a little bit of fresh green apple. I think it's really nice in that sense, quite an oily fruity character. But to round off then on this Pilsner, we have, for me, this is quite an oily Pilsner. It has got a good little bit more bitterness to it. But yeah, I think this is about 30-ish IBUs, but the floral, it's got a bit of floral dankness to it, this one, so it could be slightly higher than that. The malt base, as we said, a little bit, it's got a little bit of crispness and dryness to it, a bit of smoothness, and a little touch of sweetness. The fruity character for me is pretty on this one. Yeah, a little bit of sultana, a little bit of oily pear, and a little bit of a kind of more zesty green apple. But I think it goes together really well, this one. A very nice Pilsner beer, this one. Certainly wouldn't hesitate to drink it again. 4.9%er. I think it's good. Let's leave it at that for this one, and I'll show you the goulash that we've just picked up. Catch you guys in just a second. Alright guys, so as you saw a second ago, our food just arrived. So we got this one here, Babka Ziemniaczana po Kaszubsku. I probably pronounced that horribly, but yeah, it looks like this. So it's basically a kind of sort of potato type thing with a little bit of goulash with it. So we'll see how much this fills us up. Are you excited, Hugh?
I haven't had this before.
You haven't had this before, right?
I'm very much excited.
You'll need to join me for this. We'll need to taste this on camera.
Oh,
let's do it.
Oh,
let's do it. Why not? All right. So Hugh's going to join me for the tasting because you've never had this before either.
No, never. No. And I've lived in Poland for 2 years now, and I've never had this before.
Okay.
It's a local speciality for the region because we're in Chojnice in Kaszubia, which is its own. It has its own language, its own music. It's its own little sort of microcosm.
Okay.
A bit like Wales or Scotland or whatever. So yeah, this is a regional speciality which I've never had before, so I'm excited.
All right. So will we have a wee look at the meat first and go for it?
Yeah.
So you've got this lovely kind of brown saucy type thing as well. This is great. You can see lovely meat. Yeah. I do love a wee bit of goulash. It's really, really nice. This is good.
Nice and soft the meat, isn't it?
I could sit and eat this sauce all day. It's lovely.
Yeah. Proper gravy. Proper rich, meaty gravy.
Gravy. Yeah. What's going on with the speaker? Don't know.
I think they're testing because they've got a heavy metal concert tonight. So.
Is that tonight? Yeah. But the sauce on that's beautiful, I have to say.
Very meaty, isn't it?
Yeah. So I'm going to crack into the potato cake side of things and see what this is. There's a little bit of bacon on it as well.
There's some bacon in the potato cake, yeah.
Yeah. So this looks good. Might need to try something else after this though. I thought this would be a little bit bigger, but it might well be very filling. So if we need to try something else, I will.
Oh well, what a shame.
What a shame, yeah. What a shame. So yeah, this is it. This is the potato cake. Yeah.
It's a mashed potato, but sort of in layers, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, can't fault this at all. It's just absolutely lovely.
It's spot on, is it?
Yeah, I'll just let you have a wee look at this potato cake. So it's very kind of quite thick and creamy. It's got a little bit of bacon going all the way through it. So yeah, it's very nice though. Just lovely stuff here.
Nice sort of meal, brown and meaty.
Brown and meaty.
Simple.
You're missing the milk bar babushkas though.
What can we do?
Yeah, what can we do? We can't complain, but this is very, very nice. Can't fault this at all. Lovely big bit of potato, a little bit of meat with lovely kind of thick gravy. You really can't knock this in the slightest, can't you?
No, it's satisfying.
Very good.
Yeah.
The only thing is I'm going to be regretting it if I waste any of this sauce.
Get some bread, maybe.
Yeah, I think we'll need to get some bread. That's the only thing. It needs a little bit of bread just so you don't waste the sauce. That could probably be the only complaint about this. Just a bit of bread to wipe up the sauce, but that's it. So this was the Babka Ziemniaczana po
Babka, which is grandmother. Ziemniaki, which is potato.
So basically grandma's potato.
Grandma's potato.
Okay, there we go. But really nice. I have to say, I really, really like this. Satisfied?
Always.
Definitely. So yeah, we'll leave that for the food. We might get something else a little bit later, but we'll see.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's that for this one. Catch you guys in a second.
Cheers.
Alright guys, well, time for tasting number 4 then. So for the next beer, we're going for something a little bit more American than Polish, and this should be quite interesting. You know, back in the day, Poland was always very good at the more West Coasty type IPAs and stuff like this. But yeah, the beer we're going to have a look at then for number 4 is the APA, the American Pale Ale. So yeah, should be pretty cool. By the looks of it, by the appearance of this beer, I think it is going to be more of a kind of old school West Coast type pale ale. So you can see that this beer, when it poured, it came out with over a finger of a frothy, kind of slightly cream coloured head. It's got a lovely kind of pale golden straw colour to it again, good stream of carbonation. It does look very, very nice, I have to say. Yeah, really, really nice stuff by the looks of it. So yeah, I don't think we need to say anything else about the aroma of this one, but definitely because of the clarity of the beer, I'm pretty sure this is going to be more of a kind of West Coast type American Pale Ale. So let's look at the aroma and see what we have here then. Oh yeah, that smells very nice. It actually reminds me of the IPA that I had at Browar Gościniec the other day. It's got the same sort of oily and big floral character to it, and that was a really old school West Coast type beer. And this one has the same kind of notes to it. Yeah. So on that kind of malty base, you've got a lovely little bit of kind of fresh white bready bread crust once again. They're probably using a similar kind of base malt in the beer, like some type of pale malt or something, because it, you know, this, you can smell the kind of continuity in the beer here. Yeah, lovely little bit of fresh white bready bread crust, soft white bread above that, a little touch of cracker once again, and then yeah, you do start to get a little bit more of a kind of oily malty character out of this beer, which you would expect. So yeah, there's a little touch of a kind of caramelly note to the beer as well. Yeah, definitely a wee bit of that. And you also have a little bit of a more kind of McVitie's digestive biscuity sort of thing. The malt base in this beer is actually quite straight shooting in some ways. Yeah, bread crust, bit of cracker, maybe a tiny little bit of woodiness, soft white bread, and then yeah, the little bit of caramel and kind of biscuity notes. For me, that summarises the malt base quite well. Yeah, aroma-wise, pretty solid in that sense. On the hoppy side of things though, this beer has a little bit more complexity to it. So there's definitely a wee touch of earthiness to this one, but this beer is absolutely more kind of floral and aromatic and really quite bright. So yeah, as I say, it's just really nice in that sense. You would expect that of an American Pale Ale though. These are more hop-forward beers, and this shows it very nicely. So quite a bright floral character to this one. It has got a bit of dankness to it as well, which indicates early edition hopping. So remember, 3 types of hoppings when you make your IPAs and pale ales and stuff. You've got early edition hopping, which is in the first hour of the wort boil. That gives you mainly bitterness. Late edition hopping within the last half hour of the wort boil. That gives you a little bit of bitterness, but mainly flavour and aroma. Dry hopping after the wort boil is complete. That gives you all flavour and aroma. So yeah, West Coast beers tend to use all 3, whereas the New England East Coast type beers tend to rely on the latter 2. So the main difference in aroma is a slightly deeper dank quality when you've got early edition hopping there, but it's more kind of bright when you've got late edition and dry hopping. So yeah, that's the main thing with this beer. There's a bit of all 3 going on. You can kind of tell that from both the depth and the brightness of the beer. But yeah, aroma-wise, the green component is very, very nice. On the fruity side of things, there's something that tells me this might be a little bit old and kind of a little bit old school sea hop. So there's a wee bit of, there's something that makes me want to say there's a bit of Cascade in this beer. There's a little bit of like grapefruit to it, but at the same time you've got a wee bit of that kind of sultana, slightly datey type quality to it. At the same time, there's a little bit of oily mango in there, which makes me think Citra. Yeah, a little bit of I think there's a bit of Cascade, Citra, potentially a little bit of Columbus or Chinook in this as well. We'll see when we actually taste the beer. Those 2 hops are a little bit more obvious in the flavour than they are in the aroma. But yeah, going further forward from that, you've got a little bit of a more kind of oily kind of lemony, limey character, which could be Centennial, could be a little bit of Centennial, or maybe a little bit of Motueka from New Zealand, or Equinox from America. So it might not all be Seahawks, but I do get a good little bit of gooseberry and kind of lychee note out of this. But Citra is of course capable of giving you that. Centennial might give you the more kind of lemony notes. But for me, a little bit of grapefruit, a little bit of kind of sultana and date underneath, and then a little bit of oily mango and lychee and stuff like that. But a very nice smelling American Pale Ale, this one. It's quite nostalgic, this beer, for me. It comes across as a little bit more old school. But I think we should taste this now. The aroma took me a wee bit to get my head around, but let's just taste this and see what it's all about. So the APA, I think this was 5.2% if I remember correctly. But let's get stuck in. Slàinte, Skål, cheers, na zdrowie. Oh yeah. First impression of this beer is it's very kind of bright and green, absolutely. I think, very kind of big, bright green beer, this one. Lots of floral character, good little bit of bitterness. That's what you expect of the Pale Ale. You expect them to be a bit lighter in the malt base, but just big and hoppy and floral. And I think this one delivers on that really nicely. But yeah, very, very nice beer, I have to say. Gets a big thumbs up from me. Let's try and break this down and just describe it for you a wee bit more in depth. So middle third of your palate, the backbone of the beer, there's a little bit of bread crust in there for sure. There's a little bit of woodiness toward the front of the middle third of your palate. As I say, they're probably using a similar base malt in these beers and then changing everything else above that. But you've got a little bit of a wholemeal brown bready character. You've also got that little bit of more kind of just soft white bread in there too. But then in the dead centre of your palate, you can feel there's a little bit of a concentration of kind of sweet oily caramel, a little bit of McVitie's digestive biscuit. And the malt base, as we said, is quite straightforward in this beer. The focus is more on the hops. On the back third of the palate, you've got a wee bit of kind of bread crusty bitterness again, a little bit of a wholemeal brown bread for me, and a bit of white bread. These layers are of course taller on the back third of the palate than they are further forward. But above all of that, you do get a little bit of a farmhousey kind of bready character as well. But it works. It really does work very, very nicely for me. The whole way this beer goes together is very nice on the malty, yeasty side of things. But flavour is taller again. It condenses down as you come further forward. On the hoppy side of things, so as I said, this is where the focus is with a Pale Ale. Back corners of the palate, you've got a nice little bit of earthiness in there. You've also got a little bit of, as you come further forward, you do get quite a little bit of pine resin and a bit more floral aromatic spice, which makes me think Columbus and Chinook. The piney resin is more like Chinook hop, the sort of spicy floral character is a bit more Columbus. Round the front curve of the tongue, it's a little bit lighter and grassy, but the whole green component in this beer is pretty damn oily, so the way that goes together is quite nice. Let's round off with a wee look at the fruity side of the beer. So front third of your palate, you've got a little bit of breadiness, a little bit of kind of bread crust in the base, and you've also got that wee bit of kind of nice oily fruity character too. At the back of that front third of your palate, stronger grapefruit, which makes me think Chinook, along with the pine resin. As you come further forward, there's a wee bit more of a kind of slightly oily passion fruit and juicy mango. That makes me think Citra. And as I say, the whole vibe of this beer is like old school sea hop type stuff. And as you reach the middle of that front third of your palate, there's a little bit of oily apricot and pineapple in there, but then as you move into the kind of front half of that front third of your palate, you get a little bit more of a kind of lemony, limey character, but there's also a wee bit of a gooseberry lychee sort of thing, which kind of reinforces to me Citra. Citra always behaves a little bit like that in a more West Coast IPA type setting. So big oily fruity characters for me, grapefruit, passion fruit, mango, a little bit of apricot and stuff, and then a more definitely a little bit of a more kind of lemon limey character. So yeah, the way this goes together I think is very, very nice on that fruity side of things. To round off with a wee look at the mouthfeel then, for me, mid-bodied beer right in the middle of the spectrum, smooth carbonation, slightly oily and slick in some ways. You have got a good little bit of bitterness to this one, which you would expect of an American Pale Ale, maybe 50 IBUs. Yeah, maybe about 50 IBUs this one for me. And yeah, the malt base, as we said, a little bit grainy, a little bit smooth, a little bit sweet, and you've also got that nice oily, fruity character to this beer. It goes together really nicely, this one, a proper old school West Coast American Pale Ale in my mind. So yeah, this one was the American Pale Ale, I think 5.2% ABV, if I remember correctly. That's the end of tasting number 4, so that's 4 down, 2 to go. Catch you guys in just a second. So yeah, Mr. Hugh is texting away his Polish lovelies, but yeah, I'm going to go for a wee walk and show you the rest of this building. So yeah, I have to say, this place is very, very cool. Apparently though, it's only 15 years old, so the building looks quite old, but you know, maybe that it's been renovated and modernised and stuff. But yeah, only 15 years old. But they actually have a little, as we said earlier, they've got a little stage over there. But yeah, they very kindly opened up the upstairs for me to show you guys. So this is pretty cool. You walk up here and you can get a nice view of the whole place. This is really cool. But yeah, they actually have a little hotel through here, which is 12 rooms. So very, very small. This is kind of like almost like an old school Brauerei Gasthaus type thing. But yeah, you can see some nice paintings there. It's very good, but I'm guessing this is kind of where you would have your breakfast if you're staying at the hotel. But they've also got this kind of conference room in here too, which is quite nice, I have to say. But you can see on the sign there, this brewery only opened in 2021. So yeah, they're going to start distilling very soon from what they told me. But yeah, I do like how this goes together. It's very, very nice. But you can see we're over at the stage side now. There's a band going to play tonight called Turbo on their 40th anniversary tour. So I don't know if we'll stay for that. We're certainly going to stay and taste a few more beers. We've got another couple of ones to try, but let's see, very, very nice little place. Alright guys, well, time for our 5th and penultimate tasting then here at Browar Gościniec. So yeah, we're going to go for the strongest beer on the menu at this point. So this one is called the Chojnice Lager, comes in at 6% ABV, and I think this is going to be a little bit of a kind of strong Helles type beer, this one. We'll just need to see. But Hugh was telling me that sort of 5.5 to 6% is a fairly standard ABV for lagers here in Poland, so a little bit stronger than Germany or the Czech Republic in that case. But yeah, you can see this beer has poured, well, when it came it poured with about a lovely finger of a frothy, once again, very kind of cream coloured head. Lovely kind of pale golden straw colour, which is great. So again, remember, the colour of your beer depends on the type of malts that you use, the length of your wort boil, and any adjuncts that you put in or barrel aging that you do. But this beer, as to say, it goes together very, very nicely. I'm just very curious to see, pardon me, what this one is going to turn out like, because it is that little bit stronger. So yeah, good stream of carbonation in this one. I think you guys can see that on the camera there. There's quite a little bit of carbonation just going up toward the bottom of the head. But yeah, kind of Helles or yeah, Svetli colour, I guess we could say. Bright kind of blonde lager beer, this one. Let's have a wee look at the aroma then and just see what we have out of this beer. Oh yeah, I mean, straight away, this beer for me is very much like a kind of clean Munich Helles. Remember, the main difference between the Dortmund Helles and the Munich Helles is that the Munich one is a little bit more bready, the Dortmund Helles is a little bit more hoppy and bitter. But yeah, again, it kind of, I think the beers that we're getting here on the lager side of things are a bit more German style than Czech style. The Czech one's of course a bit more bready and yeasty, the German one's a bit more kind of clean. So this strikes me as a very kind of clean Helles lager. It smells really good actually. It's almost got a little touch of kind of Pilsner malty dryness to it. I would not be surprised if there's a bit of Pilsner malt in this. But yeah, it's very straightforward, this beer, once again. So the backbone of it, you've got a little bit of fresh white bready bread crust. Above that, some fluffy white bread, but it's quite wet in its bready character as well. Little touch of Pilsner malty dryness. Some kind of, yeah, there's definitely a little bit of a kind of McVitie's digestive biscuity sweetness in there too, which I certainly enjoy. Yeah, it has got that little bit of biscuity sweetness, a little bit of an oily character in there, and just, yeah, a little bit of McVitie's digestive biscuity graininess as well. Yeah. There's maybe a little touch of woodiness the more that you smell the beer, and a little bit of crackery character, but we've got that out of all of the beers that we've had so far. And I think it must just be to do with the type of pale malt that they're using. Maybe there's a Polish maltery that these guys are using, or a fairly local maltery that have these kind of characteristics, but I'm smelling a bit of continuity in all the beers that they do. So it could be the yeasts, it could be the type of malt that they're using. There's a few different things it could be. Yeah, lovely smelling beer though, I'll have to say. This one gets a thumbs up from me for that. But yeah, on the hoppy side of things then, it's quite similar to what we've had before as well. There's a little bit of earthiness in there, a little bit of herbal character. But this beer has got a wee bit more floral nature to it, and it's also got a lovely kind of bright, soft grassiness too. Like I say, it's very, very much like a kind of German Munich Helles, this one. Not overly hoppy and bitter, but yeah, more just kind of clean, smooth, and quite crisp in a sense. So I'm pretty certain there's a little bit of Pilsner malt in this. But on the fruity side of things, little touch of... it's got a little bit of an oily pear, but for me, this is more like a kind of wet gooseberry type note that I'm getting out of this one. Yeah, got a little bit of that wet gooseberry sort of thing, tiny little bit of oily pear, and then you've also got that nice little bit of, as I say, you've also got that very nice little bit of, yeah, you've also just got a nice little bit of a kind of straight up lemony, limey citrus character for this one. So for me, this is quite interesting. This is a little bit different from the other beers we've had so far. It's maybe the one that has the kind of least pungent aroma, but it's the one that's strongest in alcohol. So yeah, this should be quite interesting. So let's have a wee taste of this and see what it's all about. This one is the Chojnice Lager, 6% ABV. Slange, skål, cheers, na zdrowie. Oh yeah. The thing that surprised me about this, obviously 6% for a lager beer. The booziness could potentially take over the beer a little bit, but this one is very clean, very crisp, and very drinkable. Again, you can't knock this. This is just, it's as drinkable as some of these lovely kind of Munich Helles beers you get, you know, the Augustiners, the Paulaners, stuff like this. Very, very easy going beer, this one. Yeah, I like this. It's got a good balance of sweetness, a good balance of crispness and smoothness, and the hoppy and malty side of things do go together very, very well in this. So I like that about this beer for sure. Again, a thumbs up from me. Yeah, so the way this goes together, I think, is this is really nice. Let's break this down and describe it for you a bit more. So middle third of your palate, good little bit of bread crust forming the base of the beer, and that does linger a little bit into the aftertaste. Further forward on that middle third of your palate, you get a wee touch more woodiness out of the beer. Above the bread crust, there's a little bit of cracker, little touch of wholemeal brown bread in this one, but then a fluffier white bready character as well, which I think is also very nice. But then above all of that, you get some of the more biscuity characters out of this beer. One thing I will say about this is that at 6%, it does actually cover its alcohol quite well. So in the dead centre of your palate, you've got that sweet, oily, biscuity side of things. as you move further out, and this is all above the white bready layer incidentally, so you've got that more concentrated biscuity note in the middle of your palate, which is covering the alcohol, and then as you move further out from that, it's got a little bit more of a kind of McVitie's digestive, kind of grainy biscuity character. So yeah, a very straight shooting malt base, but it really does work for this beer. Yeah, I like this. Yeah, this is really nice in that sense. It's very easy to drink, but at 6%, that's potentially a bit dangerous. Although there are many more dangerous beers than this one, I'm sure. Hugh's kind of like he sort of gave a little there, so you know some of the more dangerous beers, I'm guessing.
Oh yes.
Oh yes. But yeah, that's the middle third of your palate. So back third of the palate then is quite similar, slightly drier bread crust, a little bit more cracker. The brown bready layer and the white bready layer are a little bit taller. You can also feel between these two thirds of your palate, there's a little bit of that dry Pilsner malt there. Little touch of a more, definitely a little touch of a more kind of Pilsnery malt dryness there too, which is nice, and a little bit of a kind of farmhousey bready character above all of that with a little touch of honeycomb. But on the hoppy side of things, it's what we've noticed before. A little bit of smooth kind of earthiness, a little bit of herbal character. Then as you push further forward, you get a little bit of floral aromaticity. Round the front curve of the palate, it's a little bit lighter and grassy. But for me, the green component, again, it has a little bit more zestiness to the grassy side this time, and also a little bit more kind of floral character. So I do wonder, maybe this beer is using one of the more Polish hops, because you get a little bit more floral note out of this one than we've had in some of the other beers actually. But we have to remember that the last one we tried was the American Pale Ale. But yeah, on the front third of your palate then, the fruity side of the beer, border region between front third and middle third of your palate, little bit of white bready build up. The base of that front third of your palate is a little bit more bread crusty and kind of white bready. Then you get that nice oily bubble with the juicy fruity side of the beer. So the fruits are kind of as we expected. So yeah, for me, a little bit of a kind of drier, yeah, there's a little touch of a more kind of sultana, white green grapey sort of thing in there. As you move further forward, it gives you a little bit of an oily pear, and as you reach the kind of front half of that front third of your palate, it's got a little bit of a fresh green apple note to it, but there's also a wee touch of like gooseberry underneath, and maybe just a little touch of a limey note behind the kind of grassy esters on the very front tip of the tongue. But yeah, for me, this is a really nice, just kind of crisp, sort of Helles lager beer, this one. I think it goes together very well, but it's 6%. Like I say, it's a little bit stronger, but dangerously easy to drink. To round off then with a wee look at the mouthfeel, for me, this is top end and light bodied, carbonation is smooth. The beer does have a fair bit of crispness to it as well, about maybe 20-ish IBUs at most. The malt base, a little bit of graininess, a little bit of smoothness, a little touch of sweetness. It covers its alcohol very well, like we said, and it's also got that little bit of juicy, fruity character to it. But I think that's everything we need to say about the strong lager here, the Chojnice lager, 6% ABV. I enjoyed this one. I have to say, this was very nice and clean and crisp. You could have started me on this beer and I would have been quite happy. I was actually tempted to start on this one, but I took the recommendations of the guys behind the bar and went for the Hefeweizen. So that's that. But yeah, that is the end of your fifth tasting here. Hugh and I are going to do his favourite beer in the next one. So catch you guys in just a little second. So I have to say, this lovely piano just kind of caught my eye actually. My grandparents had this old German piano that was well over 100 years old, extra octave, because my great aunt or somebody was a concert pianist. But yeah, you've also got the Bambis up here, the stag antlers. So yeah, obviously been a lot of deer hunting went on in this part of Poland over the last years, but it's very nice. And this pattern actually that's on the curtains, apparently this is very typical for this particular region of Poland. So yeah, and you can hear over the speakers there's the Polish classic folk music going on, so that's kind of cool as well. So yeah, awesome stuff. Alright guys, so a little bit of a kind of random food review to add in here. Our lovely waitress gave us a little cake to try as a kind of welcome gift. So that was pretty awesome of her to do that. So Hugh's already had his. It's like a sort of chocolate caramel nut cake sort of thing. But I'm sure you can see it looks very nice. So let's do a little tasting of this and see what it's all about.
Oh, go on, son. Get your fat gobbit.
Get your fat gobbit.
Go on, son.
Go on, son. Go. Yeah. Well, that's nice. Wow. Yeah. Very like... It has got straight up nuts in it. It's quite creamy. What's the little bread crust thing? I'm trying to figure that out.
Bread crust?
Yes, like this little bit at the bottom.
It's a sponge.
Yeah, but the sponge,
Isn't it a sponge?
it tastes of something.
It tastes breaded. I don't know.
The sponge definitely has a little bit of like...
Like a malty taste to it.
Almost, yeah.
No, I just scoffed it down, mate.
Yeah, Hugh just scoffed the thing down. But I will say it's a very nice cake. For me, that it's not quite ginger. It's not quite as dry as ginger, but there's a little bit of a kind of almost
Spice in it.
gingerbready kind of spice type thing. But it's a lovely cake. I have to say that it is very nice.
They're big on. To be fair, they're big on ginger around here, and ginger and gingerbread.
Yeah, they love ginger. Yeah,
it's a big popular thing.
That very nice cake, lovely little treat. So a big thank you to our waitress for this. Yeah. Hugh's dying. He's had too much cake. Yeah, but yeah, lovely little cake here. Hugh needs more dunkel, so yeah, we'll do. He does need more dunkel. But yeah, lovely little cake here, I have to say. So yeah, we might have to try some. We might have to get something else to eat at some stage, but we'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see. But
yeah.
that's the end of this little kind of random tasting. This was just a lovely little gift from our waitress, who's been pretty awesome, I have to say.
She's spot on. She's spot on.
She's great. Right, catch you guys in a second. Still 2 more tastings to do. So yeah, guys, just up this end of the bar, they've got some of the merchandise and things that they sell here. There you can see some of the takeaway bottles for the brewery. And then yeah, if you come up and round here, you can see they've got some of the little mini kegs as well. These are, I think, 5 litres maybe, something like that. But yeah, these look very, very cool, I have to say. Yeah, if I was staying a bit longer, I might be tempted to get some of the ones. But there you can see the bottles a little bit more closely. So yeah, it's quite nice. Tells you the prices here as well of all the different things. My Polish is a little bit limited in that sense. But yeah, you guys who are watching from Poland, we will be able to tell us what these things cost. But you know, the price of the beer here is pretty damn good, I have to say. Cannot complain compared to Swedish prices at all. Alright guys, well, time for our 6th and final beer tasting then here at Browar Gościniec, pronounced that correctly. So the last beer that we're going for is Hugh's favourite one. So this one is the Dunkel, they call it the Ciemne?
Brown.
Ciemne, basically brown lager in Polish. It should be pretty nice, this one. So as you can see, when this beer poured, about a finger of a frothy, kind of slightly ivory coloured head. It looks very nice. In terms of the colour of the beer, a kind of rich, sort of mahogany, chestnutty side of things.
Yeah, chestnut, isn't it?
But yeah, the way it goes together is quite nice. You'd expect this. Remember, the colour of your beer's down to the type of malts and stuff you use. This one's obviously going to have a little bit of caramel or something like
roast
that
malt or something.
In it. So yeah, let's take a wee look at the nose of this one then and see what you have. It's got a little bit of natural haze to it as well. But yeah, let's have a wee look at the malty side of things first. Oh, this is lovely and sweet, isn't it? Beautiful smelling beer.
Toast.
Huge fan of the kind of German Dunkel and the Czech Cherny style of beer. So this is right up my street. So there's a good little bit of, kind of for me in the backbone, good little bit of smooth, kind of rye bread crust.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Quite dark and rich, isn't it?
Yeah, a lot of kind of wholemeal, brown, rye bready kind of thing. Anything else you'd say about the malty side?
Just really intense, dark.
Yeah, I mean, for me, like quite woody. It has a little bit, quite a bit of wood to it. It's got a little bit of nutty character.
Yeah, quite complex, really.
Oh yeah, I mean, quite a bit of leathery brown sugar, toasty caramel, bit of sweeter caramel in there as well. Some biscuit maybe. Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. The hoppy side is showing you a few things as well. A little bit of earthiness, a little bit of herbal character.
Yeah.
Wee touch of kind of floral and grassy. sort of thing.
Again, that classic noble hop.
Yeah, exactly. This one's got a wee bit more earthy and herbal character to it as well. What about the fruity side of the nose?
Maybe dried fruit peel. Bit of raisin.
Yeah, that raisin's definitely. A little bit of black currant for me. A little bit of fig maybe too. Yeah, and you have got wee bits of date and stuff like that in there as well. A little bit of a drier, fruity character too. But yeah, lovely smelling Dunkel, this one. Definitely one of the more kind of smooth, brown, sugary ones. And the bready character's very smooth as well.
Quite sweet on the nose, isn't it?
Absolutely. But this is Hugh's favourite beer from these guys. So,
it's what I drink when I come here,
Yeah, so this is Hugh's on to his... the second half of his litre and a half, I guess we can say for sure. But let's get stuck into this one. This has been really cool.
Nostrovia.
There we go, Nostrovia. Oh yeah. So for me, as a Dunkel beer, it's got this. It's one of the more kind of bready and smooth examples I've had. This actually leans for me more toward the Czech Czerny than the German Dunkel. Like it's just that little bit smoother and a bit more yeasty, I think.
Well, yeah, Czerny, chimney, same words basically, isn't it?
Yeah.
Polish and Czech is so similar in a lot of ways. But yeah, it's very smooth, very clean.
Definitely. It still has that big yeasty smoothness to it, but it's still very, very clean, isn't it?
Yeah.
So for me, middle third of your palate, lovely little bit of kind of well-fired bread crusty character in there. Hasn't got too much dryness to it, but there is a little bit of dryness there.
Yeah, it's not astringent, but it's there. Isn't it? Yeah.
Gets a bit drier the further into the aftertaste you go. Further forward, you've got a little touch of woodiness in there, definitely. You almost get a little touch of nuttiness out the beer as well, but then above that, definitely a layer of kind of quite crisp and slightly dry rye bread.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then more of a kind of fluffy wholemeal brown bready layer. Yeah, and then you've got the brown sugars above that.
Yeah, you've got that sweetness, haven't you?
So it's quite for me, it's quite a leathery, dry brown sugar.
It is quite leathery, isn't it? Yeah.
Lovely. Yeah, lovely leathery, dry brown sugar. Bit of toasty caramel above that. Sweet caramel in the middle of the palate as well. And then, yeah, you just get that little bit of kind of biscuity character to it the further into the aftertaste too. Back third of the palate for me is quite similar, I think.
Yeah. Slightly drier maybe, but...
Yeah, definitely drier, yeah. The bread crust is a little bit more well-fired, the kind of crackery, woody notes are there. The two bready layers are there, but a little bit more light and airy. And you've got a wee bit of a more woody bread crust and kind of honeycomb layer above that too. So I do like how that goes together. I do like how all that pieces together, this one. But definitely, flavour on the back third of the palate is taller then as you come further forward into the middle third of your palate. It condenses down and squashes together a little bit. So, I think that covers the malty side. What do you reckon about the hops? Do you want to go in for the hops first?
I get quite a bit of plum from this, which might be attributed to the yeast more than the hops, but yeah, definitely.
That's interesting, yeah. This is it has got quite a bit of red fruity character to it, this beer.
Yes, cranberry, plum.
Yeah, so I mean, front third of the palate, I get a lot of blackberry and plum as well. So I think definitely at the back of that front third of your palate, a little bit of juicy plum, but for me, juicy kind of blackberry underneath.
Yeah, I'd go with that.
Black currant. So a little bit too dry. More black currant than blackberry. You get a bit
more
of
astringency.
Yeah, a little bit of a more oily blackberry right on the tip of the tongue. But then you also have the, as I say, like you say, I agree with plum. Then it's got a little bit of an almost datey, sultana note underneath. There's a bit of drier fruit in there.
Yeah.
But then as you move further forward, a little bit of fig, blackcurrant, oily, kind of blackberry in there. Yeah. For the green component for me, this beer's got quite a bit of earthiness to it actually.
Yes.
A lot of earthiness to this one. As you come further forward, it's a wee bit more herbal as well.
Bit of sage or something maybe.
Oh yeah, that's fair. Yeah, you do have a little bit of this kind of herbally spice. You've got the earthiness, the kind of herbally spice, a little bit of a grassy kind of floral note in there. And yeah, the way that goes together is nice. But round the front curve of the palate, it's definitely lighter and more grassy for sure. Into the aftertaste as well, you do get a little bit more of the kind of bread crust and the dryness and the leatheriness of the brown sugars.
It just intensifies, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, it is really, really nice. But that's a solid Dunkel beer, this one. As I say, to me this is a little bit more like a Czech Czerny with the kind of yeasty and bready and dry characters rather than the slightly cleaner, sweeter German Dunkel. So yeah, quite interesting in that sense. We'll round off with the mouthfeel then. What do you think for this one?
Moderate to slightly, I don't know. What's your definition for like a high mouthfeel?
A high mouthfeel is just thick as fuck.
Thick as fuck. No, it's moderate to just above moderate, I'd say.
Yeah, I mean, for me, this is kind of bottom end of mid-bodied.
Go with that. Go with that.
I'd say, yeah, bottom end of mid-bodied.
Yeah.
Carbonation is quite smooth. It has a bit of cleanliness to it and a bit of slickness. But still you get a bit of dryness out of this beer because of the malty nature. It's the bread crust, the well-fired bread crust.
It's got a nice finish to it.
Yeah,
very nice finish to it.
This is it gets quite dry in the aftertaste, but in the malt base, you've got a good little bit of dryness in there, good little bit of kind of bread crusty character. As we say, bit of smoothness, bit of sweetness. The way it goes together in the malty side is really nice. But this, for me, in terms of the Dunkel Czerny sort of style, this is one of the more bready and bread crusty examples of that style for sure.
Malt heavy.
Yeah.
For sure.
But lovely little bit of red fruity character. The fruity notes are quite dry for me on this one. As well, but it still gives you that little bit of oiliness, and you do get a wee bit more IBU out of this beer. This might be 25 or 30 IBUs, which I think is quite high for a Dunkel. You do get a little bit of earthy and herbal character out of the hops in this one. But I can see why you like this beer. This is very, very nice, and it's quite different to the other Dunkel Czerny sort of beers I've tried. But
it's my go-to whenever I come in here.
Yeah.
It's just a nice standard beer.
Yeah, no, I can see why you like this one. But I thought it was nice. This is the maltiest beer of the bunch. Not the strongest, of course. The strongest was the Chojnice Lager, 6% ABV. But you know, you always want to work your way from light to more malty, and I think this was a nice place to finish off, especially when it's Hugh's favourite beer that they do here. So yeah, I think we can leave it at that. So like I say, this was your 6th and final tasting. Thank you to Hugh for taking part in this video.
Thank you for coming.
It's always nice to come and visit, and I love doing this. I love filming with other beer tubers, although Hugh is more of an Beerstagrammer. Hugh is more of a Beerstagrammer than a beer tuber, but yeah, so still we've had a good time here, and I'll give you my final thoughts on our time here at Browar Gościniec. Got it right this time. I got it right. Yes.
That sounds good.
I'll give you my final thoughts in a little second. But yeah, really cool to finish off on Hugh's favourite beer here. Catch you guys in just a second. This one was the Dunkel, the Chimney, which was lovely. Catch you guys in a second. Alright guys, so we're going to have a little look at the menu here at Browar Gościniec, and we've got the lovely Mariola who is going to translate for us, because it's all in Polish, and of course we don't understand Polish at all. Your English is way better than our Polish, so yeah, this will be good. So I guess we start here with the soups then?
Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah.
So Bawarska Gulaszowa is a goulash stew.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Then we have a sour soup, which is served with potato, boiled egg.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah, and white sausage. Then you have a chicken broth.
Oh, okay.
Okay, with homemade chicken noodles.
Oh, very cool. Yeah.
Then we've got 2 salads. One is with grilled chicken. And then you have baked camembert cheese.
Oh, very cool, yeah. And then down this one, I'm trying to learn some Polish as we go. Yeah. Dania drobiowe. Drobiowe, yeah.
That's it.
There we go.
So that's chicken dishes.
Oh, nice.
Okay. So that's a sweet chicken with some raisins and rice. Then you have devil eye, which is, I suppose, a chicken Kiev.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Awesome, yeah.
That's it. and duck served with cranberries and some jacket potatoes.
Oh, very cool, yeah. And then we have the pierogi.
It.
Everybody knows pierogi.
Yeah, you know what that is.
Yeah.
Dumplings.
Dumplings, yeah, Polish dumplings. So this one was the bacon and onion and potato one?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the other one I
And
have...
the beef ones.
The beef ones. Ah, okay, cool.
Okay.
So yeah, then we go up here to Dania Ribna.
Which is
I don't know.
fish. So that will be
yeah.
fish.
Yeah?
Okay, so we have cod with our beer butter, with some chips. All the dishes we serve with mixed salads as well. And then you have a trout here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, from our local fish farming in Rajców.
Oh, cool,
Yeah.
nice. Rajców. Yeah.
Rajców.
Yeah.
Beautiful lake.
Oh, okay.
That's true.
So yeah, go and check out Rajców if you guys come up here to Chojnice. Do
Oh
that.
no, they bring it here.
Ah, okay.
Okay, so then you have dania mięsna, which is
The main dishes, I guess.
meat dishes.
Meat dishes, okay.
There you go.
Yeah.
So golonka is a pork knuckle served with potato puree with some mustard and horseradish. Then you have babka ziemniaczana, and that's baked potatoes, which is like a cake. And we serve that with the goulash sauce.
Well, that was what we had, yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, it was very nice.
Okay. Then we have ziemniak po węgiersku, which is smaller version of babka, but that's basically jacket potatoes with the goulash sauce. And schabowy would be the schnitzel.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's a pork chop in breadcrumbs otherwise, right?
Yeah?
Then we have policzki wieprzowe. We Polish people do like pork.
I can't blame you for that.
Yeah, pork and potato basically, but that one is pork's cheeks. Very sweet and tender meat. That's also served with potato puree.
Oh, very cool.
And then you have a burger. We have two types of burger. Then you have ribs, traditional ones, and a steak.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Okay.
two different kinds of steak. And then we have these three dishes down here. These were...
That's something new, and
Oh.
now you've got me because I don't remember the name. Oh gosh, it's like a cousin of a pig.
Oh, like a boar.
That's it.
That's it. Ah,
That's
okay.
it.
Yeah, yeah.
You see?
Nice. Ah, okay.
So yeah, we have a burger. Bryzzle, that would be like a cutlet from mixed parts of the animal. Yeah.
Okay. Ah, very nice. All right, cool.
Okay.
So yeah, boar's always nice. Very kind of like tender, sweet sort of
Have you
pork, if I
tried?
remember. I've tried some boar before, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So up here we've got all the different beers that we had. So see if I can get this pronunciation right. Piwnica. Chojnice, yeah. This is the wheat beer, like a sort of Hefeweizen. The Chojnice lager, which is a 6%er. The Pilsner, we all know, the Marsowa, which was the honey beer, the American Pale Ale, the Dunkel, which of course in Polish is the Ciemne. And we tried all of these, which were very nice. And so the desserts down here. We've
Yeah,
got them.
there's like apple pie served with ice cream and just ice cream. Or the cake of the day.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah,
Nice.
which you had yesterday.
Oh, yeah,
It
that was
called
good.
Snickers.
Oh, it was very nice. And then the last one here, the dodatki.
Just the additional bits you can have with your main dishes.
All right, cool,
Okay.
very nice. So yeah, guys, that is the menu here at Browar Gościniec, translated from Polish into English. So thank you, Mariola, for doing that for us. So yeah,
It's
guys.
been a pleasure.
Yeah, it's good.
I
Yeah.
zapraszamy oczywiście.
Oh yeah. I have no idea, but
You all invited, so please do.
okay, yeah.
Welcome.
Come visit Chojnice and get some food. Like the one that we had, it was this one, wasn't it? The
Babka
goulash.
ziemniaczana.
Yeah, that was the one we had. That was very, very nice. Yeah, we actually, so guys, for the video, Hugh and I had a lot of beer, so we had to come back afterwards the next day to film this, and Mariola very kindly took the time to do it. So yeah, you'll see this probably at the start of the video before you see us doing the food. So there we go. Cheers, guys. All right, guys. Well, that is our time over then here at Browar Gościniec. I got it right. Yeah, I got it right. In Chojnice in Poland. So yeah, we had a really nice evening here.
Brilliant.
We spent 3-4 hours, something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
Something like that, yeah. So I tried all 6 of the beers. I had 0.3 litres for most of them, apart from the Dunkel at the end, because I thought, don't get to try a Dunkel on tap all that often, so fuck it, why not? But yeah, in total, for everything, it was like 145 zlotys, which is
30 quid.
30 euros roughly, something like that.
Probably about maybe 32 pounds.
32, something like
Yeah,
that. So
yeah,
I mean,
and then 30
when
quid.
you think about all the stuff we had, I mean, Hugh had 2 litres of beer, and a bottle. We shared the bottle.
We shared the bottle, yeah.
So I had
Yeah.
about 2 and a bit litres of beer. Hugh had 2 litres of beer. We each had a meal, and we got given the cake. I think that's pretty damn good value, actually.
Very good.
Very good value.
Even for Poland, that's good.
Oh yeah, I mean the beer prices here were cheap. I mean for a half litre it was like 10 zlotys, which is like €2. That's just insane, to be quite honest with you, considering you'd pay about €10 for the beer in Sweden. So yeah, cannot complain about the prices at all. Mariola, who was looking after us, was awesome. After really give
She's
her
amazing. Yeah.
big shout out to Mariola. She was great. We're actually going to come back tomorrow and film a little bit about the menu, so you'll see that just before the end of the video. But yeah, we're going to come back. She's going to explain the menu to us in English, because it was all in Polish, and neither of us speak Polish very well.
Mówię trochę po polsku.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, neither of us. I mean, I know piwo, dziękuję, na zdrowie, and that's about it. So yeah, we had a really great time here at Browar Gościniec in Chojnice. I got it right. Chojnice. Yeah, got it right. Can't recommend this place enough. They're just about to have a metal concert, but Hugh's going to take me around Chojnice and show me some of the hard old man pubs. So this will be quite fun. But yeah, had a really great time here. If you find yourself in Chojnice, come and check this place out. Like, a kind of modern take on the old school Polish culture is maybe a good way to describe it. Then that's a good way. But yeah, we both had a great time. Really cool to film a couple of videos with Hugh, and we'll see about getting some stuff done in Torun as well.
Yes, tomorrow.
Yes, tomorrow we're going to Torun. So see you guys in the next one. Check out my social media, check out Hugh, the Beer Kid on Instagram. I'll put the links in the description below, but I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Really cool to be filming some stuff with you guys here in Poland. Slange, skål, cheers, na zdrowie.
Na zdrowie.